What's going on, YouTube? I recently saw the newest Marvel movie, Captain Marvel, in theaters, and I liked it, but then I went through some of the reviews, and wow! The internet's just, yeah, ooh, bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to review Captain Marvel, but then I'm also going to go through and I'm going to review movie critics' reviews of the movie Captain Marvel and rank them and talk about what I think about their reviews. But first, I'd really quickly like to shout out the sponsor of this video. Nope, they're this way. Nope, wait. Fuck, they're behind the camera. Huge shout out to NewAir Appliances for sending me their Pepsi and Pete Vintage Edition refrigerator. Now, as you're gonna see from this video, I'm pretty critical when it comes to reviews, so let's see what I think about some of the reviews on this product. So, Janet123 says, 5 stars, can't live without it. I received this amazing retro Pepsi mini fridge as a gift. I'm completely in love with it. Now, I'm not someone to diminish young love, so I'm gonna have to give that 5 stars just for the Valentine effect. If you want to get one of these bad boys for yourself, you can use the code 20ERIC for 20% off. The link is in the description. But now, let's get back to the video. So I'm gonna start off by giving my own review of the movie so that you guys can kind of tell what I think about it first and where I'm coming from. So this review is coming from someone that's seen every single movie in the MCU upwards of 5 times, and they weren't all equal. And yeah, I'm looking at you, Incredible Hulk, Thor 1 and Thor 2. Why the hell wasn't Taika Waititi born earlier, huh? Get on it! I thought this movie was classic Marvel fun, albeit a little like, it didn't stand out in terms of some of the great top 5 Marvel movies, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't one of the top 5 worst Marvel movies. It was just a fun superhero romp. I see a lot of hate for Brie Larson. I think she did a great job, and I think Captain Marvel is going to be a really fun character moving forward, because I think Brie Larson has a lot of acting chops, and she can go a lot of different directions with the character depending on how they write it. I also have huge amounts of trust for the MCU and Kevin Feige, so I think it's gonna be great. I don't know why she's getting the most hate out of everything. The biggest problem with the movie is definitely them trying to shoehorn it into continuity, and they have like, oh, little fun pokes and nods and references, but they don't always work, and some of them probably should have stayed as just like smaller references instead of changing the entire continuity of the entire MCU. But like at the end of the day, it's just small background stuff. Like, you can choose to ignore little details when you're like, nah, I think they were just called the Avengers. We don't need a plane with that on it. Like, it doesn't really affect any of the movies for me, so I'm fine with it. Pacing-wise, I thought it was really well done. There was never a moment where I was bored looking at my watch, like, when are we gonna get to the third act? Like, it was fun. I thought Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson's dynamic throughout the entire movie was great. It was fun to see a younger Nick Fury. We got to see Clark Gregg back in the MCU. I had a fun time, even if it wasn't super memorable Infinity War style. Overall, I personally would give Captain Marvel 7.5 out of 10 stars. I would recommend seeing it, but other people don't agree. Like these people that I'm about to say their names. What editing? Alright, so Carlos gave it 2 stars on Rotten Tomatoes and says, everything is so perfunctory and lifeless in this movie. First of all, I don't know what the word perfunctory is, so minus 2 stars. I'm sure it's real, but I don't want to have to Google things for your review, and I don't want to have to graduate college to read your review. This is, okay, minus 1 star for me, but still minus 2 for you. I can't see any good reason why this story had to be told except for the obvious fact that it wants to introduce a character who's supposed to be more important later. Dude, can you explain to me a reason why any movie in the MCU is a story that needs to be told? Like, there was no visionary screenwriter that was like, it was just in my heart. I know, it's just, I had to get the message out to the people. No, they're dumb superhero movies. Like, that's the point. It's gonna be witty, and they're gonna have fun banter, and then some of them die, and you're like, oh no, I liked those people, and then sometimes there's big explosions, and you're like, alright, that was some pretty cool graphics. And this movie was never going to be like, this is gonna be the flagship Marvel movie that's gonna change everything. No, it's supposed to be an origin story, and they definitely leaned into some of the origin story tropes, and they definitely leaned away from some of them, and it was just fun. Like, at the end of the day, that's the biggest review that I can give it, is like, it was not boring, even though it had to be an origin story. Like, they had to introduce this character because this is not a super popular character. It's Captain Marvel. It's never been shown in film before, and they did a good job of making it fun for what it had to be. Carlos, I'm sorry to tell you, but your review was completely perfunctory, and I looked it up. It means carried out with a minimum amount of effort or reflection. You also said that you can't see any good reason why this story had to be told, and I have to ask you, is there any good reason why your review had to be told? Sorry, Carlos. 2 out of 5 stars. Richard Brody of The New Yorker says, the problem is with the corporate anti-culture that controls these productions and the fandom-targeted demagoguery that they've made to fulfill which responses casting can't overcome alone. Alright, what's with movie reviewers going to college and getting English degrees, first of all? Who the f*** says demagoguery? This is just gonna make me look really bad. I promise. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really understand what your review is saying, and that's probably my fault. But the problem is with the corporate anaculture that controls these productions and the fandom-targeted demagogue. Like, what do you... Why is it bad that they're playing to their fans? You're supposed to make it for the fandom, yeah. That's who's spending money on it. Nobody's like, I love this indie movie, Iron Man. So Amyana says, without the input from female writers, directors like Anna Boden, this film would not have resonated so much. Its subtle and not so subtle nuances required its creators to understand how it feels to live under an oppressive thumb in every facet of life. So yeah, that's definitely a thing to touch upon, is the fact that this is like a new major flagship female character, and I love that it was never portrayed that way, because a lot of female superheroes are definitely like, no man can do this. You're right, no man can do this. Supergirl.
She's not strong enough.
Why? Because she's just a girl?
No, it's because she's literally spent her entire life repressing her powers in large part thanks to you, and she literally just learned this episode that she's even capable of flying, and she's never done any of this before, and she's not a properly trained government agent like you and I both are, and this is a super dangerous, extremely powerful alien prisoner who has all of the same powers as her because he's from her home planet, but he's been practicing with those same powers for years longer. Also, I'm a shape-shifting alien who can turn into both men and women, so I don't think I'm gonna let my personal bias get in the way of us saving the planet right now. It's because she's inexperienced. Still coughing. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm allergic to bad writing. Anyhoozle, it's never played on the nose ever. It feels like a very real, built-out universe where the protagonist just happens to be female, and so the world around her sometimes treats her like they would treat a female, especially in the 90s, of like people will catcall her and like stuff will happen, and it will be specifically she's a female. Like they never try to not acknowledge that. They're never like, oh, she's a blank gray canvas superhero. It's good that they treat her in the world like they would treat a female. You go into this world that they've built and it never feels fake. It's never like, why would anybody actually say that in the real world? Nobody would actually do that. This isn't how they would react in the situation. No, it's like the world treats her how they would treat a girl in the 90s, wherein some people are definitely like shitty and weird and creepy to her, and then she reacts how an alien badass soldier warrior would, of like, okay, cool, I'm gonna steal your motorcycle. Like, it's never trying to give a speech where she's like, I'm gonna steal your motorcycle to stand up for all of my women comrades that have... No, she just does it because she doesn't need to prove a point. It's not on the nose at all. Obviously, I'm not the demographic of this point, and you can feel free to tell me in the comments that I'm full of shit. I don't know what I'm talking about. This is just my perspective. It felt true to the story it was trying to tell, and I appreciate that a lot. Amyana, I'm gonna give your review 7 out of 5 stars because it's my grading system. I can do whatever the fuck I want. David Hogan says, it's a good film, some fun callbacks, especially young Nick Fury, which was great, and creates a character I'm looking forward to seeing in the next Avengers film, and that's all it needed to do. Which I think is an important line to distinguish of, it needed to accomplish something, and it did. This was never supposed to win an Oscar, and it's not a 10 out of 10 movie. It's not incredible. It's got its flaws. It's weird at places. But it definitely isn't a bad movie because it accomplishes the goal that it had to for the multi-billion-dollar corporation that was putting it on, and that never made it not fun. It was never just directly a commercial. It was still enjoyable the entire time. There were so many fun sequences. There was fun fighting. There was fun action. There were quips. It was never falling flat, while also just following the outline. And that's not always a bad thing. It's leading you up and it's hyping, and it is a commercial. But like, people love commercials. That's why we watch the Super Bowl, right? The Olympics are cool. I watch those for the commercials too. David Hogan, your review gets 5 out of 5 stars, and 2 thumbs up, and a smile, and a frown, and a smile again! They cancel each other out. Vladimir Jean Gills says, surprisingly, the most disappointing thing about Captain Marvel is Captain Marvel herself. I don't think you're that surprised. I think you thought that going in, and then you weren't surprised. I don't believe that you were in the movie theater like, oh, Captain Marvel's the worst part of this movie. No, you knew what you were doing. You had a headline in mind already. 2 out of 5 stars. Alistair says, this outing may be more of a meh-ville than a Marvel for me. Alright, well, okay, first of all, I disagree with your opinion, but 7 out of 5 stars for the pun. That's some good comic book humor. But I'm confident that a film worthy of the hero at its center will arrive sooner rather than later. Okay, so you're kind of saying that, like, you didn't necessarily like this movie as, like, the cliche origin story, but you have faith in it moving forward, it had enough good points that you can look forward to and you have hope about, and you had a great pun. So, yeah, this is gonna be the first rotten review that I give a good score. You have a solid DC+, my friend. You're not the only one that can make comic book puns. Maybe you're just the dark horse. I have vertigo. I'm gonna throw up. Okay. Armin White says, Captain Marvel gives political cartoons a bad name. Armin, I want you to look me in the eyes and explain to me what that comment means. Why is it political that she's a girl? That's the only thing you can be addressing. There wasn't like a government subplot, like in Captain America Winter Soldier, where the entire movie was political because it was about politics. This movie is about a girl fighting aliens in space. They might have space politics. That's the only politics, though. Until you can explain to me that, -5 stars. You're full in the gray. I'm sorry, buddy. Alright, well, thank you guys so much for watching me review movie reviews for the movie Captain Marvel. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this down in the comments. Also, let me know what other movies would you want me to review the reviews for, because I have thoughts on all kinds of thoughts. It's layered, like an onion. But, I'll see you guys later. Bye!
Now what? I don't know what to do. Should I open it and drink it?